Don't believe the hype. I really liked that in the previous speaker's comment. I think that's just to make sure everybody understands where I'm coming from. Don't believe the hype. I wasn't sure what to talk about. Placemaking, I mean, honestly, it's an infinite subject if you really think about it. But I thought probably the best thing is to define what we in West Kowloon Cultural District think of placemaking. What is it? Well, put simply, it's making a multifaceted approach to planning, design, management of public space that will enrich the quality of life in the city. That's a fairly simple target, really. Not going to take much effort to achieve this. It's about fostering vital communities, supporting the local economy, attracting new business, improving public health, encouraging civic and youth engagement, and of course, if at all possible, let's improve the environment as well. All of these things in themselves are topics that could take years, if not decades, of study, research, and implementation. How are we going to try and do all of them together in the context of the development of this site in the heart of Hong Kong? So we see that there are 4 key qualities to lead placemaking to be what we hope will be successful. Clearly, it's got to be accessible. And I don't mean that physically accessible. You know, we're talking about culture and art here. We don't want to just be highbrow art. We want to encourage the street performer. We want to encourage the young people to come and just express themselves. They've got to feel this is a place for themselves. They must be engaged in the activities. It's wonderful to be building lovely design buildings with wonderful international architects. But frankly, if we don't have people inside doing things and enjoying things, then what is the point? It's got to be comfortable. It's got to be welcoming. We want people to be coming to the West Kowloon Cultural District because they feel it's for them. It's somewhere that they don't feel, oh, I have to be dressed properly. I've got to behave in a certain way. I've got to respect law and order and rules and regulations, and there are going to be hundreds of those. No, that's not what we're talking about. We want them to come and do what they want to do in the space. And it's a social place. It's not a place where people just come just to see Shakespeare. It's nice to see Shakespeare, but wouldn't it be better if they then went out for a meal and had a drink and talked about it and thought about it and then maybe met someone? We were talking about love by the last speaker. Yes, come, make love. Do it on the park. That's what it's all about. Why not? Make babies. It's as good a social interaction as anything else. So it's a social place where people meet, where people want to be. So, taking all those general descriptions, how are we trying to apply this within the West Kowloon Cultural District? 3 key aspects. I'm going to rattle through this because I know I don't have that much time. Strategic placemaking, creative placemaking, and of course, tactical placemaking. Combine those 3 together, and I think we might have a chance to deliver what we're expected to deliver. So let's start with strategic placemaking. Reality, 40-hectare site, heart of Hong Kong, waterfront site. We have one chance to get it right. No pressure. It is going to be a destination. Now, I've said visitors, business, talent, residents, children, adults, you name it. It's going to be a destination. But let's be quite frank. It's at the heart of what we're doing within both the Greater China and the regional area. We see this very much as a place beyond just what we're offering for Hong Kong people. Hong Kong people first, of course. They're paying for it. But it's got to be more. We want to allow for that interaction between Hong Kong people and mainland people and people from Europe and people from the States and Australia. We want it to be a destination for visitors, business, and talent. If we do it right, let's not keep our imagination and objectivity just to ourselves. Let's aim big. Let's become another of these world-class destinations. You know, everybody knows about people going to London. They go for the West End. They go to see the museums. They go to New York. Why can't they come to Hong Kong for the same reason? That's the ambition. But it's also essential that we're connected. Now, we're going to be well connected. If you look at it, we have high-speed rail, local rail, airport railway, main road, all going through the site. Causes some problems with the basement, but we'll come back to that. But they deliver people. That's the connectivity that we've got to grab and use as an opportunity. Beyond that, we've got to grab local commuters. We've got to grab people that are coming from local destinations, from Hong Kong, from Kowloon, the new territories, of course. I want to put in a ferry pier. I think Maggie's here. She's nodding very brightly. Keep it up, Maggie, I'm with you. We've got to do this because it's essential for us to open up the opportunities to make it accessible in every possible way. Of course, we want to be linked into the world, so we've got to be next to the airport. And in doing so, we've got to have regard to what we're trying to create for the people of Hong Kong and the world. I'll touch on some of these projects, but just let me give you 2 seconds on what we're trying to do here. We're building from one end and the other end, because in the middle, our wonderful neighbors, the MTRC, still occupy the site. But we'll get there. And by building in from the two ends, coming in from the west, coming in from the east, we can gradually fill up the spaces. And the timetable, we'll be delivering individual projects from this year onwards. The very first project was a temporary facility, the nursery park, that opened last year. From now on, virtually every year that we go forward for the next 5 or 6 years, a new project will open. And the development mix is also important. I keep having to remind people that this project is not just about the art or the culture or the theatres or the museums or the park. It's about an integrated development where there are people who will live here. There are people who will work here and live here. There are people who will come here for education. We want them to come for retail, for dining, for entertainment, so that as a district within the city, it is self-sustaining. It has to be, because quite honestly, most of the facilities we're building are never going to make money. You know, museums, we're going to be throwing bucket loads of cash into it. That's the reality. So we have to look at other ways to sustain ourselves. Now let's quickly look at what we're doing. Situ Center, designed by Bing Tom, a world-class venue for Chinese opera performances. We've already reached the point where the main design is finished. We have a 1,100-seat main Chinese opera performance venue. We have the M+, again, Herzog design, wonderful. Farrell's have been involved in the design as well. I've got to give credit to the people that support us. Very creative use of space. Now, if you recall, I pointed out all of these MTR lines and railway lines and what have you that go under the site. Part of it goes right under the museum. So they've had to be creative in finding out how to use those spaces, deal with vibration and noise problems. So what they've done quite cleverly, they haven't disguised it, they haven't hidden it. This is the roof of the MTR tunnel. It's part of the development. It's called the found space. Great solution to a major problem. And that, I think, symbolizes the way we have to be approaching all of our developments within the district. You've got to be pragmatic about it. It's all very well having a wonderful design, a wonderful concept, but if it doesn't work, what's the point? This is an embodiment of that attitude. Another classic example of this approach, the Lyric Theatre. It was originally intended that we have one theatre on this site, but we realized Hong Kong, come on, you can't afford just to have one use for one site. So we're putting 3 theatres in here. We've got 1,450-seat main theatre, primarily for dance, a 600-seat medium theatre, multiple use, and a 250-seat small theatre, again, primarily for theatre. But by doing that, again, we're recognizing constraint, but we're trying to capitalize on the opportunity. A pragmatic solution to a problem. Creative placemaking, I think, is another aspect of this challenge that we have to face. How do we embed arts, culture, and creativity in everything that we do to create a unique and vibrant environment? How do we make sure that we live up to the challenge of being an arts and culture precinct? Well, the design itself will help. And I'm sure many of you are aware, the challenge will be that it has to be built on a basement. The offices, the retail, the cultural facilities, the residential, all intertwined, all mixed up together. Hugely complex if you think about it. First you have to build the basement. And you have to build a basement where you don't really know what's going on above it. So how do you do the piling? How do you do the sort of development planning? Now, as an authority, we can help, but we have to allow for flexibility, because this project is not going to take 5 years or 10 years. It's going to take 15, 20, 25 years, depending on when the funding comes in. So it's not a short-term project, and yet we have to build the basement first. Quite a challenge. But it is interesting, if you think about it, putting all of the services, all of the traffic, all of the transport, the drop-off, the parking underground means that at what you would now regard as the podium or ground level, it's a much more human scale. This is only a plot ratio 2 throughout the district, so it's not a big, high-rise, typical Hong Kong area. So it will be much more human in scale, and I think, therefore, much more attractive to users. By keeping the traffic below ground, this is exactly what we're aiming for. We want an environment that really is welcoming. You don't have to keep dodging people. I want to see cyclists in the streets, not cars. I want to see pedestrians and children playing in these areas, safe from the pollution and other problems that traffic and transport creates. In a sense, the concept that Norman Foster came up with is going back 120 or 150 years before we had cars. Not a bad idea. Can we deliver it? Well, we're not just building another infrastructure project. That's the thing that I keep emphasizing. If it was just another infrastructure project, government does that really well. They have systems in place to dispose of land. They have planning controls. They have, they built Sha Tin and Tai Po, et cetera, et cetera. It can happen. But we're required to do more than that. It's not just about venues and public spaces. It's about building communities. It's about building audiences, teams, talent, skills. We have to build public trust to allow us to do that, as well as encouraging people to take a bit of a gamble, because we're giving a concept, an image of what we want to do, and we're saying, trust us. But at the same time, I'm saying, don't believe the hype. Trust us in what we actually deliver, not on what we promise to deliver. It's honestly all about the people. I keep telling the guys who work for me, look, yes, we've got to deliver on time. Yes, we've got to deliver on budget. But more importantly, we've got to deliver something that works for the people that have to work in this space. It is absolutely at the heart of everything we must do. So we want an art park. It's not a park, it's an art park. We want it to be something that has trees, it has vegetation, but it also has open spaces that we can use actively, indoor and outdoor, during the day and at night. We want public art, something that will allow us to share wonderful imagery, wonderful consciousness with the community. They don't have to pay for this. They don't have to come and queue to enter. It's there. It's around them. It's hopefully stimulating and creating an imagination that we want for the people of Hong Kong. We want street art. Why not? Why not have the street performers come in? Why should we exclude them? Oh, they might make it dirty. No, we can't allow them in. I want them there. I want to have different activation throughout the year, pop-up pavilions. I want to engage the local artistic community, the design community, the architecture community. Come up with these ideas. We've got space. We'll build it for you. We'll have some way to engage the community in this. Essentially, it must be people-friendly. I want friendly signage. I don't want the, no, you must not, you cannot, no ball games, no dogs, no cats, no fun. I want people to enjoy this space as if it's their own space. But in doing so, I expect them to respect the space. Why should I clean up after you? If you've made a mess, I expect you to deal with it. And we put the emphasis, we respect people and we expect them to respect us. We've come up with this idea, let's let people engage in it. Color your park, tell us what you want. And finally, tactical placemaking. And I've got about -2 minutes, so I will rapidly go through this. We have to continually test ideas. We've got to focus on enhancing the quality of everyday life for those who visit, work, or live in the district. And that means we've got to be listening to the community. It's not about what we want. It's not about what we think is the right thing. It's about what we understand and what we gather from the interaction that we make on a regular basis. So, for example, the Tea House, which is part of the Situ Centre, is about explaining what we do. Instead of a 5 or 6 hour Cantonese opera performance, we can do an hour and a half. Explain what it's about. It's about the nursery park and people being able to move the furniture to suit what they want. Having tree tours, explaining what we're doing, listening. Do they value the trees? Well, why not? Listen to us, and we'll explain why they're so important. It's about providing opportunities that don't exist elsewhere within the community. We are renting bikes out to let people just enjoy the park. And of course, testing out new ideas. Bring your dog, bring your alligator, bring your cow. We don't mind, as long as you clean up after us. And I stress again, that means everybody. No comment. We are also activating the space. We want to give people reasons to come, reasons to enjoy, reasons to participate. Obviously, mobile apps. We have many, many different facilities. So let me finally end with a summary. By combining these strategic, creative, and tactical placemaking, I genuinely believe that we can make a positive change. Not just to our vision, but to create an impact beyond the boundaries of the district. And that's what we have to do. So thank you very much. And I apologize for overrunning.